Welcome back to the special edition of Hannity, Terror in America. Now, in recent weeks, the 2016 Republican presidential candidates, they have taken a strong stance against the president's lackluster strategy to defeat ISIS, and they have been outspoken in their criticism. Take a look.
Our country has a problem. People are in fear. They're waiting for the next attack. We have a president that won't even mention the name of the problem. He will not utter the words. It's ridiculous.
This is a president who thinks the SUV in your driveway is a greater threat to this country than radical Islamic terrorism. In fact, he's not even willing to utter the words radical Islamic terrorism.
There's no such thing as political correctness when you're fighting an enemy who wants to destroy you and everything that you have anything to do with.
ISIS is a growing, significant, and very serious threat. They are not contained. They are growing ever more present in multiple places. They now have a very substantial presence, not just in Iraq and in Syria.
And that's not all. Hillary Clinton continues to take a much different approach when it comes to defeating ISIS. Here's what she said earlier today.
1, defeat ISIS in the Middle East by smashing its stronghold, hitting its fighters, leaders, and infrastructure from the air, and intensifying support for local forces who can pursue them on the ground. 2nd, defeat them around the world by dismantling the global network of terror that supplies radical jihadists with money, arms, propaganda, and fighters. And 3rd, defeat them here at home by foiling plots, disrupting radicalization, and hardening our defenses.
And earlier today, Hillary Clinton tried to push for gun control by referring to the San Bernardino terrorists as shooters. Watch this.
On December 2nd, 2 shooters killed 14 people at a holiday party in San Bernardino, California. Sadly, in America in 2015, turning on the news and hearing about a mass shooting is not unusual. But San Bernardino felt different. Maybe it was the timing, coming so soon after the Paris attacks. Maybe it was how random it seemed. The phrase active shooter should not be one we have to teach our children. But it is.
Here with reaction, Fox News contributors Tammy Bruce and Doug Schoen. There's such a reluctance, Tammy. I mean, she says it occasionally, a little more than Obama, but shooters. They're not shooters, they're terrorists. Why is there this reluctance?
Look, she's like a robot. She's the Roomba of the presidential field. She could actually do something only Hillary could do in dealing with this. She could actually drop out of the race, admit that her policies were the problem, say that Benghazi should be looked at as an example of what not to do. So she has in her hands an ability to make a difference. What they can't do is admit the truth, because in doing that, it highlights their failure for 7 years. So that's her issue. And the reticence here is they don't want to have to face an international dynamic. That explains their entire resistance to the immigration, the refugee clarity.
You're raising a good point. And she was there for all the overseas contingency operation years, man-caused disasters years, workplace violence years.
Standard in this administration.
And Sean,
she was there the whole time.
Sean, we got a general election coming. She's got to win a primary. She's got to get through Iowa, New Hampshire.
Bernie Sanders is really going to give her a hard time.
And he is in Iowa, New Hampshire, up 10 New Hampshire, minus 9 Iowa. That 73-year-old
curmudgeon is really on her tail.
He is in those 2 states.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to alienate the left. And Tammy, I'll make a prediction that in the general election, you'll hear a lot more about terror. You might even hear radical Islamic jihad.
So in other words, Hillary is hiding her real tough views now because she wants to appeal to the leftists in her party.
Sean, this is politics. Yeah, I am saying that.
So you're saying she's a phony and that
I'm saying she's
so which one's the real Hillary?
I'm saying she's a real politician who's very smart and will say what she needs to do to get elected. And so far, she's doing pretty good.
And by the way, no wonder 65% of Americans think she's dishonest and a liar.
Yeah, look, Republicans do well when national security and terrorism is the issue, foreign policy. The Democrats do not, and what you just heard, what you played, is the reason why all Americans don't trust Democrats, including Democrats. It wasn't just Republicans going after Obama in this policy. It was Feinstein. It was Democrat leadership. They also know they have failed, so we should welcome Hillary's talking about terrorism, because she's going to have to answer for things like the email server, her policies in the first 4 years that have brought us to this point.
There was an an interesting exchange with Josh Earnest this week with a reporter, and the reporter said, okay, you're pushing your gun ban. Hillary talked about time to bring back the assault weapons ban and eliminate high-capacity magazines. So the reporter said to Josh Earnest, was there any one terror attack you can point to where that would have been effective? Hamada, there's no answer. Well, so they're giving us feel-good solutions. That's not the answer. You've got to have a wartime president on a wartime footing.
And Hillary will be a wartime president once she's the nominee. She'll talk about gun control and being more aggressive.
So who should we believe? The phony Hillary in the primary or the phony Hillary in the,
you know the answer,
in the general election?
I'm teling you, I've worked for her. I know how this game goes.
So it's a game to her. Terrorism is a game?
It's a political game to get elected as it is for everybody.
Maybe that's what people are sick of.
Well, that's it. The American people are going to reject that. I think she should do whatever she feels the need to do, and this is going to be up to the Republican nominee to be able to push back on that. And tonight we're going to see, of course, who is going to be the best person to do that. But she will not win. No Democrat will win if the issue remains foreign policy and terrorism. And unfortunately, it will, of course, for the next year.
And Hillary's in a pretty good position, Sean. So I like where she stands.
Listen, I'm not
you know that.
I am not going to disagree. She starts out with 47% of Americans voting for her. That's scary. And that means 47% of our country buys her BS.
If the issue was the economy, with terrorism and the kind of slaughters we've seen, I think even that number will change.
The economy's pretty rotten.
Coming up next.